trying to impress.
They call him the Wizard. He has a cadre of witches and
You
assassins.
have no options.
I don't know that you can do
When
that.
they find out where you are, they will kill you.
I understand he's beyond prosecution.
You're being followed already.
I understand. His name is Skippy.
Okay.
He goes by the Wizard.
And the ball. You remember. And the ball. Took us to a faraway desert, unspeakable things, unspeakable things. They want that.
Hey everyone, hi, welcome to the Porthole to Justice, off the cuff, whoops, a little technical difficulty here. That is Zeph Daniel, Skippy, the Wizard of all things. Okay, I am getting ready to do a show with a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, who is brilliant, by the way. Hi, I was just doing your introduction. Welcome to the port.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So everybody, I didn't get a chance to introduce you. Jillian Mai Thai is a brilliant. She has devised this very unique protocol, and I've been on the protocol for, I think it's been since like April?
Yeah, that's when the group started.
Yeah, and I am just like, I just went through this phase of purging like a bunch of mucus. She has this cabbage protocol, folks, and I want to clarify. It is a cabbage ferment, but it's not like,
sauerkraut.
Yeah, it's not like, it's very unique. And without any further ado, please share.
Oh, okay. So what this cabbage ferment is, it's a juice. It's not sauerkraut, because sauerkraut as a side dish.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain.
Yeah, so what you're trying to do is you're trying to flood your system to get the shock of nutrition. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you get that shock of nutrition, it's going to rebuild your immune system expeditiously. So when you rebuild your immune system, it purges out all foreign objects. That includes
that's what I was getting at, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm really excited about this. So I was on like my 4th month, and I did the baby kale, which, by the way, I found that it did make me happy, but however, I didn't enjoy the flavor as much. So I'm back on the cabbage, but I went through this phase of purging like a bunch of mucus, and I realized, wow, this is the foreign bodies. These are the mucus that's forming around the foreign bodies, and my body's eliminating them. So so I just went through that, and it was like a huge sort of awakening on my part.
Yeah. It's amazing how much, you conjure up. Because even when I would go off the diet, maybe like 5 months into my, my healing period, and I would eat something that wasn't good, I would start, and this is before my body was actually healed 100%, I would start eating mucus, eating those poisons. Now, if I would go back to the same place that caused the mucus 5 months in, I don't have mucus anymore, but I definitely get the poop out the next day. So that way it doesn't stay in my system and feed anything like the yeast that will then turn into candida if it gets overfed. So your body will definitely change once it's healed, and it won't react the same way when you do get exposed to poisons.
Facebook just published this article that I shared in the social media news network, and it's these little tiny chips that are like a little speck of dust on my skin, and can be easily ingested, and that was disturbing to me because it was a rude awakening that, wow, we really are being exposed. We really are ingesting the smart dust, the heavy metals. And even if we don't want to be genetically modified, we're being genetically modified on so many different levels. And I just feel so blessed by your protocol.
Well, and this is the thing, is bringing it back to how strong and how strategic the human body is when it's allowed to work that way. Right now, the human bodies out there are so severely mutated and poisoned, and then it's being controlled. I mean, that's the MK Ultra of our society, is these patients. Because what happens is somebody won't be able to do this protocol because it's going to impact their job. Right? So either they have to totally get out of their job and do something different, or they have to stay with it and try to heal, but it's too much for them. So they can't get out of their current mutation because it would impact their life so much. So that is the mind control of our society.
Yeah, they don't even need the MK Ultra anymore.
No, they just do it by biologically. Your biochemistry. That's how they control you. So your biochemistry.
Yeah. You're getting it through the vaccines. You're getting it through the smart dust. You're getting it through the chemtrails. You're getting it through the heavy metals that they're spraying on you, which build up in your body. The food.
Oh my gosh. I ate these pot stickers from this Asian market, and I kid you not, I was pulling pieces of plastic, and they were square rectangular plastic out of my butt.
Oh.
Because my body is pushing out that stuff so fast that it actually causes it to bleed, my intestines to bleed.
Yeah.
And it was from those pieces of plastic that were in the pot sticker. So if you get something that's wrapped that is a processed food, you have no idea what's in it. No idea. It could be a worm. It could be worm pods. I mean,
the eggs.
Yes. You just don't know. So I don't even eat processed food anymore. And if I do just because I'm at a party or something, I'm going home and I'm purging. Like you would not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I developed, I think 2 months into being on the protocol. Well, we should talk about, let's premise this a little bit. Let's talk about what the protocol is for people that are just tuning into the show. Okay.
So what it is cabbage, water, and salt, and kale. But I did start out with cabbage. Cabbage has all the vitamins and nutrition that your body needs. It's a cruciferous vegetable. The water, of course, it's distilled water or filtered water. That's the volume that would flood your system. And the salt is pink salt or Celtic salt. And it has all of the nutrition, the vitamins and minerals, the electrolytes that your body needs that it's missing. So when you ferment it for 3 days with the recipe and the ratios and the time and temperatures and all that, your goal is to drink a gallon a day plus. And then there's a specific diet that goes along with it. And with that specific diet and the recipe, there's also managing your healing symptoms effectively so you're not back on the cycle of dependency, managing symptoms through your gut. The only way you're going to manage symptoms through your gut is with my recipe. So there is a trifecta of this process because you don't want to be feeding and fighting the candida. that is why our society is so messed up, is because that's why you're still alive, but you're mutated, is because you're feeding and fighting the candida and the parasites. Both.
So when we talk about parasites, we think of, in our minds, we think of these little parasitic, like, you know, insects, bugs, slimy worms that infect our system, and they're just parasites. They're just there to feed off of us. But we don't expect them to have intelligence or be able to telepathically communicate. But in fact, these parasites, they control what you think, what they drive your urges and what you need. The more infected you are with these parasites, the more influence they have over your mind and your body. And this is on a huge level. So I was talking, and I'm a huge fan of your group. Tell everybody what your group is.
It's called Exposing the Lies, Candida Weaponized Fungus Mainstreaming Mutancy.
So I was saying, you know, things are just crazy right now on so many levels. You know, the human body is a host basically for all of these contagions, but we never imagined that the alien or like the mindset is these parasites that are infecting the body. And when you have a huge amount of these parasites in your body, they're telepathic, they communicate with each other as well as communicate through us. And so, and I was sharing this with you because I think, you know, when I first started the protocol, everything in my body was screaming, don't drink this, don't try it, you know.
I know, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, what? And then once I started drinking it, I was kind of sick at first, but then I got past that, and I actually crave it now. But I watch you in your group, and you are like seriously bombarded and interacting with these people that I notice because I'm on the other side of it. But you're interacting with people that are completely exposed and taken over by these parasites. So I titled the group The 7 Deadly Sins, Weaponized Parasites and Demons. And I wanted, you know, you to me are like the ultimate demon slayer.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, that's so true. Because I am up against, I mean, when I've talked to some of these, you know, demons, and I have, and they come off very, very nice. Mm-hmm. And then once your back is turned, it's like, bam, stab, 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 stab. And it is about lust. It's about anger. It is about pride, envy, gluttony, because when you're so like into your food and you don't want to go off the diet, and then then you're back to, you know, your stage 4 cancer again, and you were in remission when you're doing my protocol, you know that is the parasite, that is gluttony. They want their cookies, cakes, candies, and coffees and creamers and all of that, and it will drive. And that's the thing, it's about the ecosystem. It's not about killing all life. It's about one life trying to overtake the other life, right? And it's a constant battle. So these parasites, they want to live, and your body wants to live, and it's in constant struggle, but you have the ultimate power because you are your body. You're not the parasite.
Yeah.
So some people are completely overridden, and maybe there might be a glimmer of themselves somewhere that's kind of taking on the information, but you don't know to what extent how possessed they are. And if they go off the protocol even one time, they'll be completely possessed and overtaken, and then they're on their way to death. I mean, that's no two ways about it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've seen when people have died. Yeah. You know, they're trying to do this, and they don't stick with it, and they're not aggressive enough.
Yeah,
and they pass.
Depending how far gone you are. I mean, the infestation of the weaponized parasites are programmable. There's even programmable websites. I mean, parasites. They have science has moved way beyond what we consider to be, like, when we think of programming something, we think of programming like a microchip or a module, if you will, a more technical term. But they have now developed programs that they can imprint onto these living organisms, so to speak. So, and I don't even know if you know this, but I had David on the show, and he was talking about this.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, they can program these weaponized parasites and infect people with them, as well as heavy metals and other things that will build up in your system and make your body like a antenna, if you will.
Right. Oh yeah, it's because it's a conductor. Just like when lightning hits the water, electricity conducts. Your body is a conductor now. Yeah. And of course, it feeds the candida. So not only are you a conductor and being controlled, now the candida is overtaking your body too, because it's being fed by the heavy metals, which is the aluminum. And that's what high fructose corn syrup is, and then those processed foods. And then it lowers your immune system and allows the parasites to flourish.
Yeah, and they're not just looking to it's not just so much about the candida, and I'll get to that about the cancer.
Yeah.
It's also about deforming the DNA and literally restructuring the DNA so that it doesn't operate fully.
Right. Oh, you're right. Or someone like with Down syndrome, their whole facial structure totally changes and mutates. I mean, I see it in my society here that I think someone is Down syndrome, and I look at them and they're completely their cognitive ability is fine, but they look like they're Down syndrome. So there's even shades of these mutations of Down syndrome in people. So it's a trip. I mean, I'm here in Ohio, and I look around me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah. I thought she was Down syndrome, but no, she's not. I used to work with, different places here, and I used to, like, wow, the mutations are crazy, crazy. So it's kind of scary too. It's kind of scary.
It is scary, but what's so important to know, and what I feel so blessed to have met you online and have wonderful friends like you and Lori, I feel like I'm more fully in my body and more present than I've ever been. And every day I get up in the morning and I have 8 ounces of the protocol, and I try to do 8 ounces before I go to bed.
Okay.
I still get the constipation.
Yeah, because you need to up your dosage or pick the poop out.
I have to do the waterfalls, and I haven't done that in a while. But I know that, in the beginning, depending on how infected your body is, there is some people have experienced really extreme purging symptoms.
Right.
What, can you touch a little bit on that?
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So extreme purging symptoms, what do you mean? Just extreme waterfalls, or the healing symptoms relative to
the healing symptoms, the waterfalls, go into, because depending on the level of foreign bodies that you have in your body, and when we say foreign, we're referring to the whole gamut, right?
Right, everything that they've ever been exposed to, as well as whatever Western medicine did to them in the past. Okay. So, I mean, when you're drinking my protocol, I mean, this is all how you schedule it, right? I mean, you're going to be drinking relative to how far gone you are, and if you're pretty far gone, you're going to have to be drinking a whole lot to purge out, and it's going to be, I won't say violent, but yeah, I mean, you're peeing out your butt. So that's one aspect of the severe purging is, yes, you'll be purging out your butt, and you'll be peeing out your butt, and it's going to be attacking all of that crappy matter that's in your intestine that's been there for 20, 30 years, and it's pushing it out, and that's when you start seeing all of the foreign objects, like the parasites, like the candida, like whatever it is. I mean, you could be healing areas where stents have been placed, so you'd be purging out, surgical wire mesh. Mm-hmm. Some people have big foreign objects in their body that can't be, there's no exit point for them, so the body encapsulates it in cartilage. Mm-hmm. But the purging symptoms are, you have to do it because you got to get the poop out. Poop is the number one thing that feeds the candida and the parasites. I mean, when you've heard about people dying and they have 40, 50 pounds of poop in their body, that's what they died from. It's the fact that they fed these foreign objects, which are the parasites, and fed those little alien beings, and it took over the body. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're dealing with severe healing symptoms, that's based upon past issues, present situations, and then future triggers. Because remember, viruses lay dormant. Okay, so not only are we dealing with parasites, now we're dealing with virus microbes that have been programmed. Okay, and they lay dormant, and then when all the conditions are right, they manifest, they trigger. So that's why you see some new symptoms that happen to people that they've never experienced before, because now they're looking at their future in the face, what they could possibly have died from or trigger, like an autoimmune disorder, like a heart attack. I mean, there are people that have that felt they had chest pains, and they got so scared they went to the doctor, and now they're one of the people that are in these offshoot groups that are bashing me because they thought that I, caused them a heart attack. No, you're looking at the future in your face. Mm-hmm. You're looking at what you could have died from. But you're not going to die because you're giving your body more than what it has. You're rebuilding your cell structures. So, that's some of the severe healing symptoms that may happen that are basically looking at the future triggers, what you could be looking at in the future. Because remember, our lifespan has been planned. So when they trigger, or when they, implant a virus microbe that's set to trigger when all the conditions are right, you are looking at yourself possibly dying from that heart attack in the next 5 years, 10 years, or whatever it is your lifestyle is. Because some people have really crappy lifestyle and they don't, take care of their body. So they're going to trigger that little virus microbe faster than others.
So even people that eat really healthy,
mm-hmm.
like have organic lifestyles, non-GMO,
right.
Even those people are still subjected to vaccines, chemtrails, smart dust, all of the other stuff that is in our environment that, it's modernized. It's much more streamlined. So don't think that just because you have an all vegetarian or vegan clean diet and you're non-GMO that you are the exception, because these programmable parasites, which, are made into this smart dust or the chemtrails that they spray on us, which is human, somewhere I read what it was, but it's like some kind of platelets or blood that turns into these parasites when they come into contact with our skin. There are many ways that they can infect us, and you can be subjected to this. So being on your protocol is an amazing blessing.
Yes.
And having that is so empowering, because you're taking back your life, you're taking back your health, and you're putting it into your own hands. And a lot of these conditions that people are afflicted with can literally be healed with using Jillian's protocol and her advice. And I, for one, can give testimony to this because I have been on this protocol. And Jillian, you are like, you're a note to me, like, and I mean this like in the best possible way, because I like it. Like, for me, I respond really well to no nonsense type of people that are just kind of upfront about everything. Like, I respond really well to that. However,
yes.
I notice in the group some people are like, they really want to hold on to some of these. It's like a cognitive dissonance, but it's even more than that. It's more than a cognitive dissonance. I witnessed you really interacting with some, intense stuff.
Well, yeah, because there are people that are actively, and they could be paid by, the system. They could be, or they could be very, I don't know, have some kind of vendetta because I pulled out of my last publisher, pretty abruptly, and they're thinking that I'm selling out to somebody else. But no, I mean, there were some other things that went along with that, and that'll come to light pretty soon. Just not done with that yet. So there are people that have an intention to discredit me, and so that's where it comes from, because or they can't hold on to the protocol, or they're part of the system. Mm-hmm. So it's impacting their bottom line. It's it's taking what their investment is and basically making it nil, because now I'm taking away all their education and saying, hey, that was all a lie, So I have to interact, and everything that I respond to is with logic. It's with creating my own thesis, which we were taught, in school and college, right? Create a thesis. Mm-hmm. So something that isn't being mainstreamed anyways in colleges. All I'm doing is taking different schools of thought and taking what worked in our society and condensing it and take away things that did not work. And then using the language and the definitions and then the specific measurable results and putting it all together. Mm-hmm. So there are people that are so fearful, and they hear stuff, or they want to jump on a bandwagon because they need a demon to go after. They need someone to go after. Because you see that. I mean, why would these groups, these offshoot groups, be created? Mm-hmm. Why would something that intense? Because there's nothing that somebody can say really to me, because it's so much logic. You need electrolytes. Obviously, kombucha hasn't worked for you, and apple cider vinegar, right? I mean, it's so obvious that what can people say? I mean, they can make all the threats they want. But yeah, anyways, I'm sorry. I'm going off in a different direction. But I don't know if that was the direction you were intending.
No,
but yeah,
when you're dealing with the public, you're clearly opening yourself up for lots of different thoughts and opinions, school of thoughts and opinions.
But I had to deal with some of the alternative. I did deal with some pretty intense, like, way extreme people to finally figure out how all this worked. I had to rub shoulders with people that right now are looked at as totally extremists. Uh-huh. Okay, because when you rub shoulders with someone that's extremist, you're getting to know their point of view. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the other side, right, and get to know their point of view. And then that's where you find the equilibrium in the middle. So now that I find the equilibrium in the middle, the extremists on one side are not happy with me because I have not taken their side. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to unify everybody, and when people want division, they don't like you unifying people. They want you to stay divided. Mm-hmm. That's is the divide and conquer, and the people that want to stay divided. They don't want to give everybody a chance that doesn't think along the same lines as they do. That's what I'm up against, is the division, the people that want to keep division in our society. And I'm not for that. I don't want to divide people. I want to unify them. Uh-huh. This is the only way you can unify them. You take away all the arguments, all the politics out of it.
Well, yeah, and you're not like... I personally, sent in and purchased your book, but you're not like trying to exclude anyone. In fact, all of your information is available online on in your group. All of your notes, all of your videos. You personally consult with everybody. You go over and beyond and try to personally address everybody's questions and concerns, because going through this process, because it is a process. It's a long process. It's not something like, even though we talk about like the purging and the healing symptoms, but your body is always evolving. It's always healing. And so you're going to be like, let's say you purge out one parasite nest. You still have the eggs that they leave behind, and then you're going to have to purge out another nest, and there's pockets that develop in your body, and it's stored in your fat tissues. Uh-huh. And it's so crazy because I now understand all of this.
Right.
How can I even know this?
Because you get it, because you're taking the information that you kind of already knew that's easily researchable, mm-hmm. and you're putting it all together. So you're taking pieces from what you already knew and what could be researched, and then you're putting together with what my information is saying, and all of a sudden, all the pieces come together. I mean, that's how people create.
I want to add something that I read. Yeah. Okay. The thing is, a lot of the healing symptoms are the specific parasites. They have pockets and nests in your body. And when you drink the protocol in large amounts, you are purging out the parasites. However, the parasites, when they're exiting, will release poisons to protect their eggs. And that will give you, like, a sick feeling.
Right. That makes sense. Because they are wreaking havoc on their way out. That makes sense.
Yeah, they wreak havoc on their way out, and that's to kind of, like, give you, like, a lesson or a signal, you know, hey, don't do this again. We're going to make you violently ill if you do, because we're going to release these poisons into your body. And we're going to, you know, and this is to kind of, you know, protect the eggs, which haven't hatched yet in your body. So this is an ongoing process, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, you'll know when you are predominantly, you know, free of them is how your life is, how you respond to things, how how things manifest. I mean, we don't even know what normal is until we start seeing the changes in our body from the negative to the positive. I mean, I released a lot within the last 3 months, because I went from just being totally anxious with all of this, you know, this new stuff, the attacks and whatever that I'm dealing with, to now being like, you know what? You just have to fight all the attacks with logic, ease, and forgiveness, and realize that it's not personal. It's their stuff. So there's a way in which even how I respond that's different, and that's because I've released some of the parasites, or most of the parasites, that would cause me to then want to, you know, turn around and just attack back.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see, you know, I mean, there's no way to know that you're 100% free of them. The only way you're going to know is your body changing to what it's supposed to be. We don't even know what normal is, because we're still under attack every day. Remember, we're under Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah,
we're under
we have Wi-Fi attack. We have the
chemtrails,
television, the radio waves.
Right.
And, you know, the thing is that everybody thinks that, oh, well, only, you know, certain animals and humans have consciousness, but they underestimate that these, you know, little parasites, they have a community and an intelligence and a conscience, and they are telepathic as well. So, and let's get into the demon part of it now, the 7 deadly sins that we started to talk about, but I'm like, let's go live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, sorry, I was looking at something really quick. I've had to block a lot of different people, and it's just been crazy, so oh my gosh. So yes, I'm on my Facebook, and the 7 deadly sins, yes. So we have pride, which is excessive belief in one's own abilities that interferes with individual recognition of the grace of God. So, I mean, that's like vanity. So being vain, which means that, just like plastic surgery, when you're changing your body away from what it's originally supposed to be based upon somebody else's version of what you should be, right? Mm-hmm. Envy, I mean, jealousy. When people are envious, right? Envy and gluttony, which is why we have these people that are very heavily mutated, which can be severely obese, because the parasites are wanting to eat and live. So it looks at it as gluttony. Then lust. I mean, why do you have, you know, certain people that are really highly sexual, right? Mm-hmm. There's a parasite that's really messing with their sexual reproductive system, making them highly sexual.
Yes, and it's transferred through being sexual.
Yes. Anger. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Anger, which I've seen a lot of anger. I mean, I've seen some screenshots of messages to people that were exposed for being whatever, and they were just expletive, die type of thing. Like, you see lots of anger from these people that are heavily parasitic. I see it in all of my naysayers. Greed, which, you know, it's like avarice, or when they're coveting so much, where they're being greedy for, I don't know, fame, or they're being greedy for recognition, material wealth, or gain. I mean, yeah, where of course it overshadows everything. Sloth, right? Physical or spiritual work. So yeah, when you're so gluttonous, and you're so, I don't know, I guess your body, your system is now just sitting there and just is receiving but not giving. then that's the sloth. When you're just strictly receiving but not giving, that is the parasite of a society, right? That's sloth. You're avoiding anything physical. You're just sitting there doing nothing to move anything forward.
Yeah.
So that is, that's all parasitic behavior. I mean, people that don't do anything to help themselves. I mean, that's what I see when I see people that want to, own their illnesses. Like, oh, I have fibromyalgia, or I have lupus, and I own that. I'm not going to do anything to make it better, but I'll still keep drinking my Starbucks.
This is how I self-identify.
Right. That is sloth. Because you're basically you're giving yourself a loophole, and you're ready to die. I mean, that's what sucks, is that these people are ready to die. They're owning it, and they're ready to die, and it's hard to watch. So these are the parasites that are talking. It's crazy. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it anymore. I mean, I don't even know how to even deal with it anymore.
Well, no, you're explaining it very well. I want to say that, I do want to say something for you. You are very articulate. You are very well read. And you go right to the heart of the matter. And for some people, that is a trigger. For everybody that's ready to receive the message and have the healing, then they're gonna receive it. They're gonna receive it, and the other people, maybe it's just not time for them yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just pray for them.
Right. You're true. That's true.
And I posted something to your group about. I posted something about the pig meat. Yes,
which you totally, created a whole storm there.
It was like dropping I'm so sorry.
You dropped a bomb.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
No, but I think it's something important to bring up, because it very clearly, a lot of this goes back to biblical form of diet or thought, way of living, like the way that, it says in the Bible that we should not eat cloven hooven animals. We should not eat fish that do not have scales.
Right.
Things like that, because they are infested and unclean animals. They're infested with these 7 deadly sins, these parasites, right?
Yes. Yeah, and when people eat them, right, of course they're infesting themselves. I mean, it's when I guess what the scaleless fish, they're taking on all parasites, taking on all of the toxins and the bottom feed. Yeah, I mean, why would you eat them?
The scaled fish, like salmon, for instance, freshwater salmon, will swim upstream. They will swim against the stream. Your fish that don't have scales, they don't. They generally, they live on the bottom.
Right.
And they're going to eat, all carcasses and waste. Yeah, things like that.
That's interesting. And then, of course, the pig, I mean, they basically eat everything. They even eat their own selves. They'll eat their own people or their own pig. They'll cannibalize each other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I can see that pig is full of all of that. I mean, they're in filth, but they're there for a reason. They're, of course, life, but they're not, not something that we should consume. But believe me, pig is everywhere. People eat pig all the time. Bacon, they have pig at these, like even in Hawaii, luau's, where they roast a pig on a spit. It is being mainstream. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking the Catholic Church did that or something. To mainstream pig is to be part of every single event. Pork ribs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
it's
I think that when we have to kind of change our mindsets about what we consider to be clean eating. It's not just eating organic or whole foods or we have to consider that, maybe there is a deeper meaning behind not eating the cloven-hooved animals and the fish that don't have scales.
Right.
you know.
And it's
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's all part of like even the biblical stuff. And I'm not highly religious. I mean, I was raised Jewish. All right, but I understand keeping kosher, but they still, said that meat and milk is fine and all that stuff, right? But no pig, no treif, none of that cloven hoof stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like even with the Torah keepers, I could have a big, huge group in my, religious group, and they're very much into the Bible and the Torah, and my diet replicates the Daniel diet. I mean, the chicken and the eggs, which are really not required. It's just I'm dealing with carnivores that are coming off that diet coming into mine, and it's an easy transition. But it's interesting how the Bible somehow has something to say. There's some pretty good lessons that are very, that are positive with the diet, and I get with the Tower of Babel and all the different languages and people and the confusion. Mm-hmm. So there's something to the Bible that I can think that there's some credibility in there.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent, I don't know. But the diet in the Bible, and the diet is, with the salts and the cabbage and the fresh fruits and vegetables, it's all part of what makes up the human body and what keeps it going. I mean, we already know this just from grade school, mm-hmm. but they've kind of added extra stuff in there to feed the parasites. I call it worm food. I was talking to people today, and I call all the stuff that's bad for you, that's causing all your issues, worm food.
Mm-hmm. Our guest that's tuning in. Hi T. Glendening. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I always love to see you there in my live feed. He says he's been off pig, shrimp, and shellfish for 8 years now.
Wow.
So, yeah, there is, biblical, there's a lot of truths to the biblical prophecy and biblical way of eating, and there's no denying that. I mean, there's just no denying it. Whether it's been toyed with or all of that, that's for another show. But
right. Another rabbit hole we can go down, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, so many different rabbit holes, huh? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I think you're doing a magnificent job. Oh my gosh, Lori LaRock just joined us. Hi, darling. I love you so much. I met everybody who's tuning into the show. I met Jillian through Lori LaRock, and I'm so blessed by both of their friendships. And I've become so healthy because of the protocol that Jillian has found. And Jacqueline, hey guys. Everybody's here. The crew's here now. So yeah, so just let's catch up because we have some new listeners just joining the show. Okay. The protocol is Jillian Mai Thai's protocol and you can join her group on Facebook. It's Weaponized Bacteria and Candida on Facebook. And Jillian, just so we have some new listeners tuning in, share with us about your protocol and how you go about creating it and making it and how you came about it. A little recap.
Well, I studied the holistic industry for the last 5 years, and I took all the good information that worked and threw away the bad information, and I tested out all the different suggestions and promotions that were mainstream and found out that they did not work. But by accident, I did find that the cabbage, water, and salt, which is lacto-fermented cabbage, actually worked. And it wasn't like I knew it worked right off the bat. It was just that it was probiotic. I knew probiotics were the key, but what method of transmission was effective was what I was researching. So when I found the recipe from foragers, I think Real Food Foragers, and I bastardized it, and I made it to where there was the intention to reverse cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And I added maybe an extra teaspoon of salt, added more water to it, and I made it to where, you had to drink like so much to the point of you getting healing symptoms. Now, I didn't know that the healing symptoms were going to happen. I started seeing them for myself. I knew from understanding the Candida diet, because I was in the holistic industry, I knew that Herxine and Herxheimer syndrome, which is the die-off, would happen. So I was kind of living in that world, and I realized that I'm not doing the Candida diet because I'm not just starving the Candida. I'm also rebuilding your cell structures. which is totally different than the Candida diet, which is just starving and killing Candida, but doing nothing for your body. Because they analyze everything. They say, okay, kill the Candida, kill the parasites, and now go eat organic. But you haven't healed your leaky gut, so you're really not going to absorb the nutrients. So when I did the cabbage, water and salt with that bastardized recipe from that website,
So
I noticed.
So okay, really quick. I just want to tell everybody literally how simple this drink is. And it's literally a drink, and it's so easy to make. And I want to share with everybody how I make my protocol, if that's okay. You trust me?
Go ahead.
Okay, because she's like the expert. But I'm just going to tell everybody because it's like a layman sort of. I go to Target in the water section, and I grab a gallon of distilled water. It comes in the container, the milk container. And it's really inexpensive. And I grab a head of purple cabbage. You can get the white cabbage as well. And I just you go into the market and you get the pink salt. And you can use Celtic salt, you can use gray salt, and you can use pink salt. And each, salt used to be worth a lot of money back in the day. They knew, that salt had worth. In fact, they used it as a form of money to trade because it is filled with lots of minerals that your body needs, healthy salt minerals. So I use that 3 big teaspoons of Himalayan salt, pink salt, and I cut the cabbage in half, and I cut it pretty finely, and then I put it in my blender, and I add about a third of the distilled water, and I blend the whole mixture, and then I put it into a gallon-sized mason jar with a spout. And I will put a cloth with a rubber band on top of the whole entire mixture. And I will put the cap on it. And I will let it sit at room temperature for 3 days. After 3 days, I put it in the refrigerator and I start drinking it. I have done days where I've done a whole gallon in one day, but that was an adventure.
It'll definitely, your healing symptoms will be extreme.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that for everybody that's listening. Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, right, really. And then when I figured out that, when I cut up, instead of doing 75% of the cabbage, where you cut it up and you put it in the blender with the 2, cups of water and the 2 tablespoons of salt, I did, 2 cups of cabbage, 2 cups of water, and then a tablespoon of salt, because the salt really is the most important. You do too little of salt, you're not going to get the results you're looking for, because you're not giving yourself enough of the minerals. You need those minerals, electrolytes. We are missing electrolytes. That's why people get seizures. That's why people get, all these different, diseases that are from a deficiency, mineral deficiency. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that my PMDD, which is the illness I was dealing with, started to disappear. I lost tons of weight. Like, I lost the bloat. I shrunk my fat cells. I was pooping out, regular every single day. Yes, I would get rashes. So I noticed that there was significant changes in my body that were happening. And I realized I was onto something. And then I started putting everything together as far as the holistic industry. I did start off, with the garlic oil to manage healing symptoms and colloidal silver. And I realized that stuff is antibiotic. So are spices. That's why there's no spices in the diet. So I start.
Let's talk about the diet a little bit, because I think we've talked a lot about managing symptoms and the actual drink that you consume, but we haven't talked about. First of all, I want to mention, because I feel like you don't get enough accolades.
Oh, thanks. Right.
You have 1,700 members in your group that are following the protocol.
Right. Or they're looky-loos. One of the two, yes. There's definitely a handful that are doing the protocol.
Well,
You're right.
A lot of people, more people are sticking with it than falling off, okay? Yeah. I just want to point that out. And I'm one of those people. So, but let's talk about the diet as well.
Okay, yeah, the diet is, the reason why I have the chicken and the eggs is because I deal with carnivores. They're not going to go to a straight vegetarian diet. So I have that, and it could be any chicken. I mean, it could be Walmart chicken to whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. Because remember, you're already exposed to Wi-Fi radiation and chemtrails. So even if someone says chicken is dirty, chicken has antibiotics, it's no different than you sit in front of your Wi-Fi or your computer, okay? But I don't want you to, like, not do this because you don't get any kind of animal protein, all right? So I have the chicken and the eggs there. The fruits and the vegetables are pretty standard. The fruits, the only thing that you can't have on the fruit is detoxes. That is lemon and lime, anything that's heavily acidic, like citrus. I'm okay with the grapefruit, and I'm okay with oranges, okay? But lemons and limes, no go, because they're used as a detox. I learned that in the holistic industry. When you're detoxing, you're using lemon water, right? Mm-hmm. So I know I don't want you using that, because I don't want you killing the good bacteria in your gut. The vegetables, there's no legumes, and nothing like super exotic either. So really, I mean, the fruits you don't cook. They're just whole fruit. You don't dehydrate. So the fruit is just whole fruit. The vegetables you can cook, you can bake, you can make whatever you want out of them. Just stay away from the legumes. All right. I do allow peas in there, but there's no peanuts, no peanut butter, and all that. The fruit, the nuts, and the seeds, they're all raw, because I'm not trying to have anyone bake any breads, okay, and then it turns into starch, and then the starch feeds the candida, okay? So that's why everything is raw. I don't want you to turn it into nut butter. Don't want you to turn it into any kind of milk. There's no milk or nut butters allowed, right? Though people do make dressing, okay? Hold on a second.
With the pulp, yeah, I noticed like you can use, because you can use some of the cabbage pulp, as,
right,
like,
as a dressing. Yeah, to add like
mix it in
olive oil
dressing on your salads and your
right, and then that's the nuts and the seeds. And I say no flax seeds because those are bad for males. They have a lot of estrogen in them, and they're also processed and they bulk you up. So no flaxseed oil. Mm-hmm. But you can have raw sunflower seeds, raw chia seeds, raw whatever seeds, hemp seeds, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that's all list in the group. And then the good oils. Yeah, I have grapeseed oil, I have olive oil, and I have coconut oil. There's a billion oils out there. They're probably good for you, but I want to stick with the main stuff. Because the reason why I have everything the way it is universal. Because if you have a universal diet, you have a universal outcome. Because we have universal bodies. It just at the point where you impacted by Western medicine is the only difference. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. All are the same. So when you have a universal diet with a universal protocol, you have a universal outcome. Mm-hmm. And there'll be, and then I already have all the factors, factored in, all the different things that happen that get factored in. So
I like to think about, like, for me, I mean, just interject a little bit here. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
No, you're fine. No, yeah, I mean, that's the reason why. I mean, I have everything universal. People are like, well, why can't we have a nut butter? Why can't we have this? Why can't we have this fermented collard green?
Well, no, because I like to think about, like, how healing the ocean is when you have a cut, or you have some kind of, like, you want to really drench the body in a healing, that healing sort of current, if you will.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I like it into. I just wanted to throw that in. I'm sorry I interrupted you. No,
because I was talking to a lady that married to a South African gentleman, and he says that when in his home country, he is one of the white folks out there, but the black tribes before Western, before man came in there and messed everything up, the white man supposedly, right? The black tribes used to go to the ocean, and they still might do that and drink, like, a bunch of salt water, like maybe once a month, or I don't know how often they did that, but they purged their system. Yeah. I mean, you've seen, even dogs. Yeah. When dogs drink seawater, they purge.
Mm-hmm. And this is to get those parasites out of your system, because we are exposed on a daily basis to so much, So yeah, like, I think you've nailed it. I think you're like, I just truly think in my heart you're brilliant. And I have really good, I feel like at this point in my life, I have honed my skills as far as, I know that you're a solid person. You've done your research, and you're doing an excellent job in your group, and a lot of people are really waking up. And I want to stress too, when having you on my show, because if I didn't believe in this and I hadn't been on the protocol for the last 5 or 6 months, I would not be like, hey, Jillian, come on my show. Let's talk about your protocol. You know what I mean?
Right.
I myself have testimony, folks. And this is a blessing. It is a wonderful thing you are doing. You're empowering your body, your mind, and your soul. And I feel so much more present in my body and in tune and in alignment, in aligned with everything. And I just want to thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the kudos. I appreciate you following along with it. I appreciate us spreading this, because this has to spread far and wide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can't stop with me. I mean, every single person that does get benefit from this is going to be that seed that's going to change people's worlds in their world.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this. I don't want it to stop with anybody.
And you're such a blessing. You're an angel. You're healing so many people. And I just really want to keep you strong and your spirits up. We love you so much. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to wrap it up because my son's getting home from going out for ice cream. But Jillian, I think you're awesome. And I hope that you keep going strong in your group. And we're going to post this. We're going to post this podcast to Jillian's group, and we're also going to be sharing in the port a link to your group. So people that are tuning in the Porthole to Justice, you can join Jillian and her group, and you can try out her cabbage protocol and get on the road to healing, folks. So amen. Jillian, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome, and thank you. And I'm going to make a file in the group with this specific podcast, because I definitely, I like it. And I'm going to find the other one and post that as well. Awesome. So, as in the file, so it's there, forever.
And we're going to have you back on. We're going to have you back on again. All right, guys.
Okay, so
I got to go. All right. Thank you so much, Jillian. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Porthole to Justice. This has been another episode of Off the Cuff.